Hello and welcome to another episode of the Skill Point podcast. Today I am joined by Justin Rowe, the founder of Impactable, a B2B marketing and ads agency. And I think that is what we're going to be talking about in this episode, LinkedIn ads. We're going to be digging into it. We've had a few people ask about LinkedIn ads and covering it, and I think it's got kind of a bit of a mystery around it, unfortunately, and a bit of a negative reputation. So, Justin, I believe you're here today to remedy that reputation and give us some value and insight onto how to get the most out of LinkedIn ads.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on. And LinkedIn ads is definitely one of those topics that seems to be trending more, which is, of course, good for us running a LinkedIn ads agency. But one of the things I really like to do is, if I can dispel any kind of bad theories or just myths about it and uncover, show some of the best practices or biggest misses when you're starting it. That's usually a really good place to start for a lot of people.
Yeah, perfect. So before we crack into that, do you want to give us a little bit background about yourself and where you are at now?
Sure. I'll give you just a quick, brief introduction for those that don't know me. My name is Justin Rowe. I run Impactable, the LinkedIn ads agency. I started probably 5 or 6 years ago. I founded a Link and Learn, which was a LinkedIn lead generation agency. We actually scaled that. I started as a side hustle. I came from the restaurant industry. That scaled into a full-time agency. We had 210 clients. We went through an acquisition. I sold the majority of that agency to a data-heavy investor. And then I stayed on with partial ownership to manage and scale the startup further. We pivoted into and rebranded as Impactable. And we switched from kind of a lead generation agency to LinkedIn marketing focus. And now we're kind of expanding to multi-channel. We're adding on Google and LinkedIn outreach again with email and adding in data components, website visitor identification. And we actually launched our own SaaS tool with LinkedIn ad scheduling and better audience tuning and reporting than what the actual platform gives. So that is currently where we're at now. And I guess technically, I think we're one of the larger LinkedIn ads agencies out there. And it might sound more impressive than it is. For some reason, LinkedIn ads isn't one of those places that has a ton of competitors. So it's not like Facebook or Instagram or all these other marketing agencies that are really saturated. There's probably not more than 15 noteworthy LinkedIn ads agencies out there. So it's a decent place to be.
And that's surprising because of the amount of opportunity that is within LinkedIn. You've got a completely professional network with people kind of ready, set up to buy and in that kind of mindset. Why do you think that is? Why do you think there is such a small amount of agencies out there or not enough people really taking notice with LinkedIn ads?
I think it's kind of there's a lot of similarities between LinkedIn ads and LinkedIn organic. So I would say the exact same thing for LinkedIn organic. Like, of all the places where founders and company owners and executives could hang out, spend time on social, LinkedIn makes the most sense, because if you're going to make a name for yourself or work on like creating a personal brand, doing it on LinkedIn, which is one of the largest personal networks out there, the place where B2B buyers actually come to learn and essentially be influenced on buying decisions. It's a great place to hang out organically. It's a great place to have your ads. And I think a lot of it just comes down to the stigma. Like, there's still a ton of people who think of LinkedIn as it was in like 1999 or 2002, where it's a place where if you're looking for a job, you update your online resume and then, don't touch it for another 5 years. So people don't realize that LinkedIn is this thriving content creator hub of B2B and marketing content and communities, and that it's this thriving place that people are actually coming to on a consistent basis to be influenced. So I think just some education or some re-exposure to what LinkedIn is now might be part of that problem.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. And I think people are coming around to the ways of organic. But I think a lot of the time when you go for LinkedIn ads, the main thing is, it's too expensive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And why is that, do you think?
Part of it is in comparison. So I've actually been doing a lot more thinking about this. Part of it is just in comparison to other channels such as Facebook or even Google ads. The cost per click on LinkedIn can just be comparatively higher, especially to Facebook. I guess a lot of people aren't comparing it to Facebook. So then the first thing I would say is, there's just not a fair comparison. Like, Facebook is you're targeting people can be so broad, and it can be like unqualified traffic, and you're trusting the algorithm to eventually find more qualified prospects. But sure, like if you don't care who sees your post and your only goal is the cheapest cost per click, then there's going to be lots of better options than LinkedIn. The appeal of LinkedIn is that the quality of those clicks is better because you can tell, hey, I only want to show this ad to director level and above in marketing or operations or executive functions in these 5 industries that I work well with, in these company sizes that have budget, in this geography that I want to be known in. And you just show ads. So yeah, those clicks logically are going to be a little more expensive, but I'm okay with that because it's actual clicks I care about. So when you're looking at the quality side, as far as what is the cost for an actual qualified meeting, if you actually just move the conversation from clicks to that, it changes pretty quickly. LinkedIn is worth the price for the quality of results that comes out of. The other thing I really realized is that most companies' marketing experience up till the point where they start to try LinkedIn is usually very transactional. They've tried Google Ads, then they've tried usually Facebook with lead gen forms, then they've tried email marketing or cold calling. They're very kind of short-term transactional styles of marketing. And then they approach LinkedIn and think it's going to be very similar. But in reality, LinkedIn is way more like SEO, where it's a long-term kind of momentum building progression. And it's not just, I put 5K into the LinkedIn ad slot machine this month and didn't get much back. So, that's a no for us. I think that conversation pivot would be helpful.
Yeah, because I think the thing around ads is you always say, oh, it's kind of pay to win, isn't it? With Google, etc., competing against SEO. But is it fair to say that a LinkedIn ads campaign is just part of a bigger sort of framework in terms of leveraging personal brands and demand generation and content marketing and things like that?
Yeah, it's definitely part of a bigger ecosystem, and it's harder to make as a standalone. So I would say, yeah, Google is easy to carve out as a standalone. Even email marketing, cold, all of those could be really decent individual silos. LinkedIn could be as well. I feel like LinkedIn in that sense, in a silo by itself, would take, sure, that could be another reason that people might think it costs more. By itself in a silo, it can be a more expensive channel to get up and running and profitable. But yeah, if LinkedIn is actually part of a bigger ecosystem where you're driving traffic to your website from SEO, Google Ads, paid listing sites, other channels, and then LinkedIn can harness that traffic, kind of qualify it, retarget it, so it's not just expected to do all the work of top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel. Then it can be profitable really quickly, and it's a completely different conversation.
Perfect. And I think we'll dig into how to achieve that as a business. But the final question I kind of want to ask you around this is, in terms of the B2B service space, how, if leveraged properly, how strong can LinkedIn ads be for your business growth?
LinkedIn to me, especially for B2B and for higher ticket, enterprise sales, software, financial service, LinkedIn can probably be and should be one of your dominating factors. And one of the biggest things is, and I keep saying it, the mindset that people log on to LinkedIn with is completely different than other social platforms. People log on to Facebook usually to kill time, to catch up, to see what friends are doing, to be entertained. The same with Instagram, it's discovery, it's entertainment. TikTok is entertainment, some education, and that's shifting. YouTube, that mentality is kind of similar. People are logging onto YouTube and consuming that usually with a I want to learn, I want to understand kind of mentality. That's pretty powerful. But then LinkedIn to me is still on top of that. People are literally logging onto LinkedIn, and it's the only platform they do this with the actual intent of being influenced on B2B buying decisions. Founders, owners, C-suite executives are logging in and they want to see what tech other people are using, what strategies other people are using, what partners people are recommending. They're looking for information that they can piece together to improve their business. And that really doesn't happen on any other platform. So running ads on a platform like that to people in that mindset is really powerful. And then the other part is, like, people then give, I would say, people that are popular or brands that are being seen a lot, the trust that you win on LinkedIn can be monetized a lot easier than popularity on any other platform. So like my 10,000 Instagram followers like probably wouldn't be nearly, probably it would be really hard to monetize that group in a B2B sense, but 10,000 even semi-targeted LinkedIn connections, like you could do some real damage with that, because those are buyers, those are people with influence in this world.
Yeah, and I think the benefit of it is LinkedIn has just a community feel, doesn't it? With your connections, there are conversations going on. You're seeing what competitors are up to, or people that you respect and who they're engaging with, isn't it?
Yeah, the community aspect is kind of cool because it's not just a transactional platform. Like they're not just getting hit with ads and following people just for like these boring kind of bullet points. It is a community. There is a sense of like humanizing your brand and building personal trust with people in companies and those relationships, and that's a pretty powerful aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go into getting started with LinkedIn ads. So say our audience member thinks, that there is some benefits to having this and having it a core factor in business development or growing the business objectives. I'd imagine it starts in a strategic phase way before you start logging into your LinkedIn ads campaign and setting up an account, doesn't it?
Yeah, part of the mindset of just, are LinkedIn ads right for us? Are we ready for LinkedIn ads? I guess that would be just a quick little mindset or checklist I would go through. And again, the very first step to me is, let's agree that LinkedIn ads should not be viewed as a silo. It should be part of a bigger ecosystem, and it works best when there's other quality sources of cold traffic already driving traffic to your website. So, are we running any other paid ads traffic right now? If the answer is no, usually LinkedIn ads is not going to be the first paid traffic source that you should look into. So if you're not running any other paid traffic source, I would say maybe, look at Google ads, listing sites, invest in some SEO, do some more organic work first to drive quality traffic. If you have other quality traffic, do you feel good about your website, your landing page? The thing LinkedIn ads is known for is the quality traffic. But if you're pouring quality traffic on a poorly constructed website, or one that isn't optimized to convert, you're just pouring water in a leaky bucket. And then the third thing that usually is really helpful is, do you have elements, do you have things that are working right now that we can scale? Or are we looking at LinkedIn ads as a paid channel to find things that are going to work that we then can scale? If you already have good either content assets or systems in place that are converting, and we can take LinkedIn ads and kind of scale that, that's a beautiful place to be. So just getting in the mindset of, is LinkedIn ads where I should be right now, or is it right for us right now? That would be a really good question to start with for most people.
Yeah, nice. And so say we've got a watertight product offering, the websites look good, it's just gone through a rebrand, kind of got some of our messaging down. Maybe the founders started posting on LinkedIn and they're building up a bit of a personal brand. There's a bit of demand generation, a bit of a marketing strategy. Great, we're kind of set up and we know LinkedIn ads is right for us. What's the next step?
The next step is, as soon as possible, even maybe before you're quite ready to start running ads, I would go through kind of the initial setup structure. Open up your LinkedIn ads account, get the LinkedIn Insights tag, the retargeting pixel, get it installed on your website, and get your basic retargeting audiences kind of set up and collecting. So even, months before, like I would say in a perfect world, if you knew you were going to run ads on LinkedIn ads in 3 months, I would do the setup like this quarter, planning on running ads next quarter, because the LinkedIn Insights tag, like audience collection on your website, it's not retroactive. It doesn't start until you install the tag and set up the audiences. So once you set those up, the 30-day, 90-day, 180-day buckets, they're starting from scratch and they're starting to build. So ideally, if you could set that up first, and then you would have the option of maybe even starting with retargeting first instead of starting a cold campaign, that would be huge. So first, I would say focus on the structure. Get the Insights tag, set up your retargeting buckets so they're collecting. Push for conversion tracking, because once we get going, how are we going to measure success? How do we know if this worked or not? Because not knowing, by default, you're probably going to say, let's kill it, because we can't measure it. So push for conversion tracking, and that's a huge one for me. If there's an action on your website that you want to track, a form submission, a booked call, or a purchase, ideally, in a perfect world, each of those actions would push them to a unique URL on your page that you can set up as a conversion. So a thank you page for the form submission, for call booking, even if you're using Calendly or HubSpot, they all allow URL redirects you could do a booked call confirmed page. And then for any payment, ideally, companies, just like ecom marketers wouldn't dare dream of selling a single thing that they couldn't track a purchase conversion for, because what's the point in starting a campaign? But in the B2B world, like, I guess the deals come in slowly and, they can see them on the back end. They're trusting their CRM more. But I would push for purchase conversion. If you're using any kind of sales page, because we sell $10, $20, $30,000 transactions and we still have it. They're purchasing online through a portal and it pushes them to a purchase confirmed page. We set it up kind of like ecom style. Even if you're doing enterprise deals with check or ACH, your onboarding form has the option, either it's Google or Typeform or whatever. You can push those who fill out the intake form, push them to a welcome page on your website that only paying clients would ever see, and you have a purchase conversion. So I would say get your framework in place, get set up for success, would be the next probably big step to get ready for launching your first ads.
Yeah, fantastic. And for anyone that's not quite up to speed with retargeting, can you just give a little breakdown of what that is and the power it can have?
Yeah. So to me, especially in the B2B world, so I think this is one thing that the B2B world does kind of suck at is there's either two modes usually. They either put all their budget into cold and they're just hammering the audience, and usually it's the same like 5 ads that the prospects are seeing a million times, and then there's just no retargeting. It's just we're really gonna murder this audience in one layer. Or they have retargeting, but it's usually just the same ads or just different lead gen forms that we're retargeting them with. So my whole basic philosophy around retargeting is that the cold layer initial touch of ads, they visit a B2B website, and if it's anything that's more than $1,000, $2,000, whatever dollars, like chances are they're not buying on their first visit. So retargeting is important because chances are they're making, even if they're in market right now, they're making that decision and evaluating people over the next 30 to 90 days. So staying in front of them regardless is important, but being top of mind or timing is only one of the objections. The other main objection for me in the B2B world is it's a big purchase decision. They're evaluating other vendors and they don't know you yet. They don't trust you yet. And it takes more trust for someone to drop $5,000 on a B2B service or product than it does, for a $20 pair of shorts or a $40 shirt, So that is the equation that needs to be overcome. Like there is a lot more trust that needs to be built with this community. So in my mind, retargeting, that should be the main focus. Yes, any ads we put in front of them will get our brand back in front of them. But the real thing is, what can we do to move the needle on trust? So I use ads that are like testimonials, case studies, interviews, guest spots on podcasts. So when I get clips back from podcasts that I was guesting on, because I don't really push my own podcast, or I let that die a year ago. I use these clips as retargeting ads, or I'll put them up on our website, or I'll publish them to our YouTube, and then I'll funnel ad spend to that. Because these, it's one thing to tell prospects that I'm an expert and I'm, a cool guy you should trust. It's another thing when you're on a show and they're saying that you're the expert in this area. Like that third-party validation is really powerful. So using things like that and gathering those assets, and then using LinkedIn ads to guarantee distribution to your target demographic, that and with the main emphasis of moving the needle on trust. That to me is the main part of retargeting, because they're evaluating other people. And if I can position ourselves as the experts in our space, then if and when they're ready, they're coming back to our website to convert. I shouldn't have to chase them down. And that's kind of the power that we see there.
Yeah, I really like that, because I think a lot of the time people see ads as just the hard sell straight away. Yeah. So I think that's the attitude, especially from my background, dabbling in Facebook ads, but mainly Google ads, is you kind of have to just go straight for the jugular, don't you, and just get that information to beat. But it seems like a very different sort of slow process. From your experience, how many kind of touch points does it take with retargeting ads or ads in general, and potentially the organic side of things, to really then drive a conversion for some of these high ticket service offerings?
I think I saw somewhere that it was an average of 7 to 15 touches for like a B2B buyer before they're purchasing. And that, ideally that's not all one channel, that's spread across other channels, but I try to target our 90-day frequency. Like if I'm running a retargeting ad, I try to have our 90-day frequency be around 15 or 20. So like they're getting a decent pacing of ads and different types of ads and different angles. But yeah, I would keep in mind that maybe 10 to 15 touches it would take like for a B2B buyer to maybe feel comfortable enough to even book that call a lot of times. And then you have to ask yourself, how can I get in front of them 15 times? We're going to have to retarget. We're going to have to time the budget and audience so that we have that kind of saturation that we can get in front of them 15 times over the next 90 days. And then even if we can guarantee that, what am I going to show them? If a qualified prospect leaves your website and you have 15 things you can basically put in front of them or put in their hands, what are your top 15 assets that should move the needle? These 2 case studies from clients that are known in their space, this interview with someone who's respected in the B2B community, this, whatever, our educational video that shows our deep level expertise on this topic. And that's kind of how I think through, what we should be using for retargeting and how much saturation or frequency it really takes to move the needle on this area.
One question I had was, how important is it to try and touch on customer pain points in your LinkedIn ads?
I think it's very important, and it can be a different level of importance for different products or services. So one of the things I usually am testing kind of in my cold layer is I want my cold ads to be very straight and to the point. Usually I'm not trying to get too cute or clever, because I want people that interact with those ads for that to actually mean, some kind of implied intent. It wasn't just funny or amusing. So typically the 3 things I'm focusing on or testing, like what would be a better entry point, is just straightforward. This is who we are. This is what we do. For us, like a LinkedIn ads agency, we really can lead with that a lot of times. And if they're showing curiosity in just that, then that's good for us. The other one is, this is the main pain point we solve. So for us, it might be higher caliber service at a more affordable price, because most agencies charge an arm and a leg, and then they offshore most of your actual service and strategy. And then the other one would be the main result of people that work with us. This is maybe selling the result. So for some companies, selling the pain point or digging into that, like because it's such a pressing pain point, that's the lever that works the best. For some, it's more the results, like and I guess the pain can be implied, so you'd still have to know it, like the relief from that pain, the end, the after result. But usually one of those 3 is a good kind of entry point. And then I would probably work the pain points back into retargeting as well. You get these different assets. This is who we are, what we sell. This is the pain point we solve, the results of people that work with us, and why you can trust us. Those different elements are pretty important in the journey.
And I guess it could be quite good for market research as well, because sometimes you come out of these strategy sessions and you might have 10 pain points that you figured out from some qualitative research, but actually for using ads to really hammer down what are the main 4 ones that really resonate with the audience, couldn't you?
Yeah. And using ads for research, does work really well. Like you're getting a chance to put these messages in front of people, and you are looking for feedback. Not only, a lot of people are mostly kind of sifting through what target demographic they get more traction with, but it's also, once you find that, what messaging, what pain point, what result seems to be resonating with them the most, and you can get that data through the ads that you use and kind of the stats you get back from them. But of course, also when if you get the chance to actually talk to these prospects and ask them as well, that can be really huge to influence future marketing as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So a couple more questions on sort of like getting started with ads, and then we'll move on to, because in our little previous chat we had you had an idea for like a case study for our sector, so I'd like to break into that a little bit more. But I think the 2 main things that you come up against when you're setting up LinkedIn ads is 1, your audience, and then 2, which format kind of you go for in terms of getting the conversions, as well as what kind of creative works well. So the first question, let's break into audience here. Is it worth, what is your opinion on LinkedIn's custom audiences that you can do include and exclude, or the ones that you get through retargeting? What are more powerful, or is it quite nuanced depending on what you want to do with it?
The targeting filters are pretty powerful. Being able to dial down to specific job titles, seniorities, functions, company sizes. The company sizes specifically are really powerful, because I think one of the big differences between like a Facebook ad and LinkedIn is you can literally show your ads to people that you know have the authority to buy and the budget to make that decision. And company size is a big one. So it makes it really powerful. But the thing I think most people don't realize is that all of those filters are actually available with LinkedIn retargeting as well. So I can actually say my website traffic, regardless of where it came from, not just the LinkedIn ad traffic I'm sending to the website, all of my website traffic, then layer on these filters. They need to be director level and above in these 3 job functions, in these industries, these company sizes. And I only want to spend money to retarget qualified prospects who visited my website or qualified prospects who visited my company page. That is really powerful. So the native LinkedIn filters that they have are really powerful for cold or for retargeting. And then they do allow you to also, kind of segment depending on your verticals. Like some people will have like 3 clear verticals: financial services, marketing agencies, software companies, and being able to say, okay, website visitors who are also in the software industry, let's run this retargeting campaign to them that speaks directly to their needs, their pain points, and our solution involving them. So being able to, even qualify your Google Ads traffic that's hitting your website, break it down by segment, and then retarget specific segments with unique messaging. That kind of filtering and possibility, it doesn't really exist on any other platform, because like I retarget on Google and programmatic and Facebook, and I've done it on Quora and Twitter and Reddit, and none of them allow like that granular level of filtering with the retargeting. So you wouldn't be able to segment either like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the higher cost doesn't really seem that higher cost, because you could spend £200 and get 200 or 100 awful clicks on Facebook ads or Google ads, or you could literally spend £200 or dollars and actually just get 2, but they're just like it was about £15 to £20 a click, isn't it? Sometimes $30-$40, man, something like that. So then they could be just the perfect people for that role.
Yeah, and that's why I really think moving conversation away from just I feel like too many marketers just focus on cost per click or click-through rate or CPM, or then they just get into like cost per lead, and then it's, well, the cost per lead on Facebook is $150 and the cost per lead on LinkedIn is $250. And okay, that's good to know. Like, but you definitely can't make a decision just based on that. Like, I need to know, okay, cool, but what's the quality? Like, because if the LinkedIn lead is 5 times more qualified, like then we're getting a deal on it. So like stopping at just the cost per lead to me is like this crazy phenomenon that I don't understand, because it's like, okay, that's one piece of information, but that's nowhere near enough to like make a decision on. So let's look at what's next.
Yeah, and I think that comes through the disconnect with setting up properly with the sales team, isn't it? I think sometimes ads just get passed straight over, and then it's down to sales to do what they want with it.
Oh, and marketing's given. I mean, I guess it's down to the KPIs marketing is given too. Like, I mean, I consider myself a decent marketer, but if I have a decent cushy salary job and my main KPI I'm bonusing on is number of leads, I'll get you the cheapest leads all day. They're going to be the lowest quality, trashiest leads, but it's not really I guess ethically, I should make the case to my boss, like, hey, I'll do this, but this is what's going to happen. I will get you the worst leads ever. Like, please, let's not do this. I don't want to bonus this way. But if that's my job, then I can get you. But that's how that ends every single time. If the goal is more leads at less money, how do you not end up at the end destination of the lowest possible quality leads? Because that's the number we're tracking.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's move on to format as well as creative. From your experience, what seems to work well, and what kind of use cases can you use? Carousels, videos, etc.
So I like to experiment with everything. So I think most people, they stick to the pretty standard single image ad is used the most. It's very versatile, and you can do a lot. Like, even if you want to send them to a video, you can make a single image ad that looks like a video preview. They click in and get sent to a video on YouTube, or they get sent to a landing page. So they're very versatile. I think video is underused and really a superpower. One of the reasons I've stepped up my video game, not just for LinkedIn organic, but also to have more ads and assets. And you can also, because of the video, you can see not just they engaged yes or no, how engaged they were. They viewed 25%, 50, 75, 97%. They blew it up to full screen and watched the whole thing. You get these kind of stats, a qualitative stat, not just quantitative. So I do think a good mixture. I like to run single image and video in the cold. I like to use video again and single image again in retargeting. I use more range in retargeting because carousels I think are really good for like making an impression, or it's almost like video. You're not going to get as many clicks, but those people that engage or go through all the pages, it's a better touch than just a single image click. But their cost per click usually sucks and their CTR sucks, but I do think there's value in showing it to them. And then I like to use follower ads, spotlight ads, text ads in retargeting. They're super high impression, low cost. You just kind of, especially those on desktop, it kind of peppers them a bit and keeps you in a lot of different placements there. So I use a lot of the different forms, but I would use less forms probably in cold and more in retargeting when you have this captive audience and you have these 15, 20, or however many touches you have with them. Breaking that up into different formats, different styles, different messaging, I think is helpful.
Yeah, great. Yeah, perfect. And then the final one is the copy, isn't it? What is your primary tips for getting the copy right, or is it not too important? Does it get missed over, and does the creative take the front seat?
I mean, each element is important. I would say each element might not be as important as some people would think, because it's all kind of working together. Like the copy on one ad can be forgiven because you're getting so many touches in front of them. They're hopefully visiting your website multiple times. So the individual copy, I would say, it's very much like, I would view it very much like LinkedIn organic. You do want to grab attention. If possible, use numbers and stats. Like a lot of the kind of best practices for creating hooks on LinkedIn organic would work well with ads. You don't get a ton of space. So unlike organic, you don't get like the 2,000 characters. You have 150 characters that show before they have to click see more. And then I think the max is like 600 characters. So there's less space. So it's a little harder to be super creative or to grab their attention. So best practices usually just make it combined and part of the experience, and make it educational or give value, get to the point, and kind of have it flow with the image. So if they have the text there, it should immediately kind of give context to what they're seeing, and it should make sense with then the next call to action. So I guess that just being part of the experience would probably be more important than, and get their attention with the first line. That would probably be more important than any other kind of structure or framework with a copy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think if you put the skill and the attention, and when the conversion can be so high on the cost, it's worth putting the time and effort into it, isn't it, to get it right?
That's true. Yeah.
Let's go into the case study that we talked about last time. Do you want to, if you still remember it, do you want to break down what potentially a good case study could look like? And it's that I remember we discussed it was a whole kind of framework, multi sort of channel approach, or within LinkedIn, a little bit demand gen here, a little bit personal branding as well as LinkedIn. Our audience is recruitment agencies trying to sell recruitment.
Yeah. So the idea that I had, and it's not a major demographic that we work with, staffing recruiting agencies, but we have worked for a few, and then we've also helped actual companies do internal recruiting for themselves through some of these methods. And it got me thinking how similar demand gen principles would work for recruiting. Because the basic idea is, your asset, your product or service is actually people. You're looking for people. These are high priced items. Some of these are 100K salary people that are out there. So just like a B2B kind of enterprise offering, these things take a lot of trust and consideration to make the right decision. And more importantly, the people you're recruiting also have to be kind of bought into the company, the that they're kind of being interviewed for or being proposed to. So it has to be a fit on both sides. So how do you first attract that kind of talent, and then how do you also get the talent excited about the opportunity? So one of the things I was thinking is, using retargeting and using these tactics, not just to advertise positions or find talent to fill those positions, but to actually attract kind of an inbound motion from these candidates. So, tracking the signals of intent, certain page visits, or you have the list of people that you're really trying to go after. Like if it's an ABM list, but now it's a group of talent versus a group of companies you want to work with. It's a group of talent that you're trying to attract to like opportunities. And then instead of just offering the job or the solution, or your product or service in this case, you're listing out the reasons, why they should be excited to work with you, why they should trust you, why this is, something that makes sense for them, and using these retargeting touch points to actually build the excitement and hype over this situation for both sides, and use it, more of a demand gen approach. And internally for like a regular company, the way it would work is, someone who visits your career page who also then gets qualified as being a prospect, that would be a good fit with their level of experience and seniority to work for the company, then running retargeting ads to showcase the company, how, the lifestyle or the testimonials essentially from current staff, how much they love working there, the benefits, the joy and rewards, the other team, and get them excited so that they actually come back and, maybe set that meeting for themselves or reach out to see if there's opportunities. They show up, they actually have a higher chance of like accepting, and they have a higher chance of staying with long-term success because they're actually excited. They know about this company. They want to work for them. So using kind of retargeting to pinpoint that and educate them in a way that kind of creates that excitement and demand for the opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. And I think for some sectors where they'll get hounded by recruiters on a regular basis, like developers, for example, they usually turn off to recruiters. So being able to get in front of them through something like that, where you're able to share the culture of the company you're recruiting for, or some of the key benefits and why they're different to where they're working at the moment, can be super powerful. And then you can really start a good conversation with people, unicorns that you may not be able to talk to on a traditional basis.
Because that's the other thing. The best talent out there usually already is working somewhere, and they're not usually actively looking. Whereas most staffing and recruiting agencies, they're working, they put job posts out there, or they're putting their feelers out there and they're getting these requests. But those are people that are in market for jobs. So knowing that the best talent probably isn't part of that pool, like you probably should have some kind of motion to passively be reaching out to the people who aren't actively in market. And I think what you'll find then, if you do that, so actually using ads to activate talent that isn't part of the application pool right now, what you'll find is if you do find an opportunity for those people, they're far less competition because they're not part of the actively applying group who has their applications out to 5 or 6 other people. So if you actually land one of these people for an interview that you're going out of your way to find, they probably don't have 2 or 3 other interviews lined up. So when the offer is made to them, the close rate of those offers are probably much higher, and the quality and long-term, because again, those people were happy at the job they were at and they weren't even looking. So if you can place them at a job that pays them better or a better fit for them, like they're probably not going to be back on the market for a long time. So it's also probably going to be a long-term fit. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Earlier, you touched on demand generation. I think it's something that's becoming more and more prevalent as we go along, and the traditional lead gen methods don't work as well, do they? I think the market is more mature, and I think demand generation is a super powerful tool, and it's something that we've spoken about a couple of times. But I'd really like to hear from you what your definition of demand generation is.
So to me, I guess it kind of comes back to how most of the initial marketing channels that people have are transactional. And I would say those are demand capture channels. So Google is capturing search traffic of people that are already looking for solutions or research around those solutions. You're capturing demand that already exists. So I guess, and the same with paid listing sites, kind of the same with SEO. And even email or cold calling, like those work because you're hitting people at the right time. You didn't hit them at the right time and they didn't know they have a need and you somehow convinced them in like a 20-minute call. That's usually not the case. So demand was created. Something let these people or these companies know that they had a problem, that a solution exists, and now they're out there searching for that, and you're simply capitalizing on that and capturing it. So that's demand capture. So what happened to actually let these people know that there was a problem that existed and that a solution for that problem exists and that it was urgent enough for them to want to start looking? Something had to happen to create that demand. So those are the two sides of the coin in my mind. There's creating that demand, which is more educational. And then there's capturing that demand, which is very transactional. It's how do we look for those signals of people that have been kind of activated looking and funnel them over here. But how do we actually create the demand is a separate one. And I would say it usually is, and I would say there's two sides of the coin. There's creating demand for like a problem, a solution, a category. So we create demand for LinkedIn ads in general. We want to educate people about the power of LinkedIn ads. We want to help people understand what the possible results of LinkedIn ads. So then they might go out there and they're researching LinkedIn ads. Cool. The second thing we want to create demand for, and I think it's maybe that crosses more into brand, but I think it's really close to the related to demand gen, is we are creating demand for our brand in our space. So it's not just enough to create awareness and demand for LinkedIn ads and then they go somewhere else. We want to also create a demand for our brand and our expertise and have it elevated above our competitors. And I see that as part of demand gen. So to do that, we have to educate the market on what LinkedIn ads are, how it's used, the pitfalls, how other people are using it. And we need to do it from a place of experience and resources where we're positioning ourselves as kind of that guide or that guru in the space, so that if that was something that you did have a need, we are also the solution that you would prefer or go to.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, absolutely. I think you really hit the nail on the head with that one. I can't add anything to that. I think you've got that tied up nicely. So what does good demand generation look like in tandem with LinkedIn ads?
So the big difference is a lot of the ads that I might run in cold might look what you traditionally think ads are looking like. We do that for ourselves and for our clients. What we run in retargeting looks a little different. So instead of strong calls to action, a lot of lead gen forms, a lot of book a call now, it's interviews, it's how-to videos, it's educational, it's ungated webinars where you come and you get real valuable information. It's our 6-month roadmap being given away for free. And it's us using paid ads to guarantee distribution of assets or content that should move the needle on trust. And it looks very similar to organic. And if I would think of it this way, so if and I guess, for our audience here, they should probably get this, because a lot of these are active on LinkedIn or at least consuming on LinkedIn. If you come to LinkedIn and you just post every day, hey, we're a LinkedIn ads agency and our pricing is this, or we're a LinkedIn ads agency, sign up today. That would not get us an engaged following. It wouldn't get us very good reach. People don't necessarily want to see that in their feed. And it's not going to create any inbound leads for us as a company. I mean, maybe it might out of just sheer persistence and timing, but nowhere near as powerful as the approach I have taken is I'm going to show up to LinkedIn and I'm going to give value. I'm going to position myself as the expert in my space. And I'm going to do that by actually giving out and imparting as much wisdom and free advice and resources and guides and how-tos as I can. So those people in the market who want to do it themselves, they'll do it. They'll take our guides, they'll do it themselves, and they'll see us as experts. And the ones who don't want to do it themselves will consume a little bit. They'll see us as experts, and then they'll tell us to do it for them. That approach is what works for organic. And that is what basically I kind of just harnessed that mentality and put paid ads behind it. Those, a lot of times, even that I'll take note, the post that I post organically that gets decent traction, that actually creates 3 or 4 inbound leads, I'll make that into an ad, or sometimes what I've done is I'll literally just screenshot that post and then run that image as an ad, just taking the element of what I'm learning, from our organic audience. And that mentality, I mean, if you just think about that, if you just posted like sales pitches as posts, like you would not follow that person. You would probably not interact with them, but someone who shows up and they're giving actual advice around that niche, like, yes, you will follow them. That's enjoyable content. And if and when you need a solution, they're probably top of mind. Like that's a good strategy. And that's what I would use LinkedIn retargeting to do to deliver to my prospects.
Yeah, and I've seen that firsthand. So since we've started engaging, I've been receiving your ads, and they come across so naturally, like it is just a post from the company. And when organic company posts get throttled to no end and you get no engagement on them, it's a great way to kind of beat the algorithm a little bit and try and get the results from it. And you share things like your framework and screenshots and really easy, simple flow charts. If you wanted someone, so I've got two more questions and then we'll wrap up and I'll let you go. If someone wanted to get started with a demand generation strategy and then plug their ads into it, what would be the first things you should say to them to start thinking about to try and get the right content put together that's going to resonate properly?
Yeah, I would say it's, look for the things that build the most trust. And it might be similar to what you've tried to bake into your website. Because most people, when they build their website, that's a big factor. Like, what can we bake into this website that'll make people trust us? They're putting testimonials in there. They might try to put some case studies. They'll try to slip in logos that have brand recognition, and anything else they have. If they have resources, they're usually putting that in there. A lot of that makes, and even the about section. So what's the point of the about section on the website? Part of it is to build trust and to humanize your brand. That's not a terrible asset to use for retargeting ads too. So a lot of that same mentality and strategy that you approach to building the website, how can we bake in these factors of letting them know they can trust us, and we've worked with these brands, and humanizing our company a little bit, letting them know that we're like great human beings who will take care of them and feel all warm and fuzzy. How can we what are those assets that we have? And a lot of those exist. So I would say, look at your testimonials, and more specifically, what are the testimonials that you're most proud of from people that are most recognized or companies that are the coolest in your space? Same with case studies. Do you have a case study you're most proud of? Do you have a how-to or educational video or a webinar that drove the most leads for you? That was, dove into something that seemed to really resonate with your audience. So I would look first at, don't think of it as this new channel and we got to start a new strategy. Like, what's working for you right now? Like, what is part of your website and these assets that are getting the most traction for you now? Like, is it this? Because sometimes what we'll see is, a company that just signed up for us the other day, like they run in-person events. It's been working for them and they don't want to stop doing that, but they're looking for ways to pair what's working for them now with embracing like digital marketing and the demand gen approach. So my philosophy then, wasn't just like, this is a one size fits all, screw whatever you're doing before. It's take what you're working, find ways to enhance it. So you're running 6 in-person events a year, and that's your biggest lead generation. Well, let's create a rolling campaign where we keep advertising the next event. Let's keep track of the people who visit that event page, those event signups, those ad interactions. If we're running video promos or before the event or running clips after the event, let's track who's most engaged and let's get those people hyped up about the next event. And it becomes, we take what they're doing organically and rolling in digital demand gen kind of principles and digital marketing retargeting to roll that in. And then it's, who are you as a company? Why can they trust you? But those webinars are really big. And they've had interviews with really high profile people. So baking that into that, getting people excited about some of those things that are that you're already doing. So I would say think of it like that. Like, look internally, what's you're most proud of. If a prospect leaves your website, what are the 10 or 15 things you would love for them to consume over the next 90 days, and amplify that with LinkedIn ads spend.
Perfect. Love it. I was going to jump on more questions, but one last one. So let's just flip it and go on to the negative side. So 2 questions, you can just string them together nice and quickly. What are the common attributes of a failed campaign? What does not work? And how often should you throw ads onto the cutting room floor because they're not quite working for you? And how do you find that out?
Yeah, the biggest recipe to failure that I see is simple settings like having audience expansion, LinkedIn audience network, really, or using lookalikes that really unfocus the target, or that, without you knowing, because of one little check mark that you didn't unclick, 99% of your LinkedIn ad spend actually went off of LinkedIn onto trusted third-party websites into the abyss with a 99.9% bounce rate. That's a huge one. The other really big one, a recipe for failure, is not considering frequency. So they'll do everything right on paper. They have the cold campaign, they start retargeting, they move some budget over, but they didn't look at the frequency. And it's not one size fits all. So if you have, let's say is a big difference on how much budget or how big the target audience is going to be for retargeting on a small website with 1,000 monthly website visitors versus a website with 20,000 visitors. And if you use the same budget, so what I see a lot of times is they might have too much budget in cold, so they're oversaturating a cold audience with the same 3 ads relentlessly, and then they're not putting enough budget in retargeting, so the frequency is actually 1. So the whole point of retargeting is that you should be able to get in front of them more consistently, and yet they're not getting in front of them like hardly at all because they put a little budget into this huge retargeting audience. And they're oversaturating in cold. So not having that right balance and looking at the frequency and thinking through like where you should have the frequency and where you need more budget for better saturation, or where in that retargeting audience you could chop down that audience in half with some qualifying filters and get deeper penetration to a more targeted group. Those little things are probably the biggest death of even mature companies' campaigns. And then what was the other part?
How often should you go through your ads and cut them out if you know that they're not working for you, or adjust them?
Frequency is also the answer to this. So one of the things that I kind of discovered that seems to be an aha for a lot of other companies is, one of the things that people do is they'll create a 90-day retargeting, and then they're constantly putting up 5 fresh ads and taking the older 5 ones down. And the question is how often. Usually when they're asking me this question, it's how often should they be doing that motion? Because that motion is kind of what they've been told to do. What I would say is, one of the things I discovered is frequency is amazing. So if I know I'm running a 90-day retargeting campaign, my 90-day frequency is 20, I could put 20 ads in that campaign and I could switch it to rotate evenly. So now it's almost this evergreen, fresh content flow for prospects. They visit the website, and over 90 days, they see 20 unique ads from this campaign. Not the same top 3 performing ads 5 times each. They see 20 different ads. And then I'm not so pressured. So then initially I would say, keep getting ads up as quick as you can to match frequency and watch that frequency. But the goal should actually be to build something that's lower maintenance. I haven't touched my 90-day retargeting campaign in the last 3 months. I probably do need to go in there, maybe look at the bottom 5 performing and swap those out for maybe some fresh things that I learned from the top 5. But after you've built that and you feel pretty good about it, I would leave those and learn from it. Because the other thing that happens is ad seasoning. My top 5, 6 ads, they have lots of likes, comments, and even shares now. And so they're actually becoming more powerful. So even if I did write slightly better copy or a better image, that new ad I create is starting from scratch. And this one has 37 likes and 15 comments. That one's going to be dominating. So once you get ads that are actually gaining momentum, you don't necessarily ever need to drop those down unless the message is irrelevant. You're just kind of maybe swapping out your lowest performing ones that haven't even accumulated much. So it's not a big deal to kind of cycle them out.
Amazing. Really valuable insight there, Justin. Usually I do a quick fire question round, but I know you got to shoot off, so I prioritize value over random questions. Last thing, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way?
Yeah, probably the top ways is impactable.com. That's our website, LinkedIn ads agency. You can look me up on LinkedIn. If you look up Justin Rowe, Rowe, I'm usually the top result that comes up. And also I'm really proud of our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and you look for Impactable, or hopefully if you look for LinkedIn ads channels, we're one of the top ones. There's 200 plus videos. I swear there's like a free education. There's a beginner's playlist that anywhere else that would be like a 297 course. It literally walks you through how to create an ad account, how to set up tracking. It's a beginner's guide to getting started, and it's free. So check out our YouTube channel, subscribe to that. Those are the 3 best places.
Perfect. And that's a great example of just giving it all away for free, and people still come to you and you build a successful business. Justin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.